That's what I'm trying to explain to y'all. The bot views everything. They make a star when they want to. You know what I'm saying? So this is the same thing like Drake and Kendrick Lamar. That's why I said, Drake, you should be arguing with your label. You should be arguing with them. And your argument towards them should be, you guys allow them
across from him with a camera pointed at her and began to strangle her, she said.
What?
It goes on to say that he allegedly also, and this is crazy, y'all. She said that he rammed several fingers down her throat, continuously moving them in and out, and gagged her to emulate force.
If this is true, they're going for Khaled, Flex, them big DJs. Yeah, shake baby. And that's a fact. All right, it's Diddy time. It is straight Diddy time. It is straight Diddy time right now. All right, so Diddy got all types of smoke going on with him right now. But I wanted to start off with this little action that I saw earlier with Diddy right now. Here we go. See, Diddy is having problems with the jails now because they seems like they're trying to say he's trying to run the jails because he got the bag. Now, this is a conversation they were having with Diddy and trying to figure out, will Diddy be home for Thanksgiving? Let's talk about it.
We're having this pushed again. I mean, it does need time, right?
Yeah, I think this is an important issue for the judge to determine. At the end of the day, I think it's really difficult for judges to put someone, to detain a defendant pre-trial. At the end of the day, though, particularly with a case of this severity, the judge is weighing whether or not he obviously thinks that the defendant is going to flee, in this case Combs, or whether or not Combs is a danger to the community,
right,
as a whole. And so both sides have put very passionate arguments forward. And obviously, whenever there's a situation where you have new information or new legal arguments, the judge has to consider those things. And I think that's what the judge is doing here.
What did you make of the paperwork? You read through it.
I did. A lot of the arguments made by the government is consistent with the arguments they've been making since the beginning. In fact, they're leaning very heavily on the fact that in this type of a case, the presumption, it's a rebuttable presumption, but the presumption is that the court should detain Combs. And so what defense counsel has to do is rebut that presumption and present evidence that the government has it wrong at the end of the day. What the government is attempting to do now is to not only demonstrate that he's a risk of flight and that he's a danger to the community, but that continuously, since before even the investigation, Combs has been obstructing justice.
Right. And there's been this whole thing. I was there in court on Friday, and they've been saying, the prosecutors say, look, he's been doing these three-way calls. He's communicating with people, witnesses, people that he's trying to influence. He's calling somebody, they're calling somebody. It's against the rules. He's borrowing other people's phone cards, all of that. That is a big no-no, right?
Well, yes and no, in that if the goal is to obstruct justice, then yes, that's a big no-no. However, from the defense's point of view, Combs is just doing what any defendant should be able to do.
Right.
In the paperwork that was filed today, the argument is that it would be a violation of his First Amendment rights not to be able to defend himself and defend his reputation, and also to be able to assist in his defense.
And what are the chances that we're going to hear something before Thanksgiving? I mean, whether or not he's going to walk or not.
It's hard to tell. I think it's possible that the judge, has 2 more days, will be able to put in a ruling on that. But also, I don't think that the judge is necessarily focused on whether or not the decision comes down before Thanksgiving. I think the judge is more focused on getting it right.
One of the things we heard on Friday and that we're hearing in the paperwork is that Diddy's team has said that he doesn't have the kind of time or access to prepare for his trial. There's a lot of charges, there's a lot of accusers, but other people do it just fine. Is there any truth to the defense saying that he doesn't have the access and what he needs to do to get ready?
Look, I think it's fair to say that obviously you'd have more access if you were out on bond. However, there are so many different ways that the court can make the defense counsel available to the defendant. There are situations in which a judge will allow meetings happening at various locations, whether it be the courthouse or the jail, to make sure that defense counsel and Combs have enough time to prepare for trial.
Right.
As you mentioned, defendants do it all the time, every single day. Any incarcerated defendant has to work with their counsel in order to prepare for trial. So I don't think that that's necessarily something that's going to sway them.
And the whole thing with the raid that happened in his cell with the legal notes, the handwritten notes that were taken, there's been a lot of back and forth about that. Really quick, your take on that?
Well, I think the judge is going to have to really hear the facts on that. But what's interesting is they were able to use that fact and the fact that Combs had made representations that he had written legal and made it clear that this was legal communications. And then it turned out that his lawyer had to explain, looking back at the evidence, it's not actually true that the word legal was written all over the paperwork beforehand. And so what the government did was use that as another way of showing that Combs is still not following the law and is not listening to his attorneys.
All right. So if he doesn't make it this time, will a fifth bail attempt happen? You can keep trying and trying.
You can keep trying and trying, and he's probably going to go to the Second Circuit and do an appeal and see what the Court of Appeals has to say about it. Even if he doesn't win there, I wouldn't be surprised if they continue to try.
Do you have a prediction?
I think given the seriousness of the offenses and the evidence that the government has proffered, it's unlikely that he's going to be released.
Thanks for watching.
So there you go. It looks like Diddy gonna be spending Thanksgiving in jail. Nasty. You know, you heard the call from the kids the other day. It's disgusting for Diddy, man. Word. Oh, I forgot to play this for y'all. So Drake